Mr. President, 1 year ago, the American people went to the polls. The American people demanded a change. They demanded a change from 8 years of too little economic growth and too much government control and regulations. The effect was immediate, and the effect was incredible. In the past year, we have gotten a lot of very good news about the American economy. Right after the election, businesses became much more optimistic about the direction of our country, and they started hiring. Last Friday, we learned that in the United States, we have created more than 2 million jobs since Election Day 2016. And someone said to me, well, you shouldn't count it from Election Day, you should count it from Inauguration Day. But I will tell you, certainly in my home state of Wyoming, on Election Day, there was a confidence, an optimism, a positive feeling that started just at the moment that it was announced that Donald Trump had been elected President of the United States. Right now, we have the lowest rate of unemployment that we've had since the year 2000. We've seen the economy grow at more than 3% for the past 2 quarters. Consumer confidence has just reached the highest level in almost 17 years. All of this is happening since President Trump was elected, and this is very good news for America. Now, we can't stop now. We have to do all that we can to move the path toward a more prosperous country. We've got to get along that path. Americans are optimistic because they know that President Trump is focused on easing the regulations that have held back our economy for the last 8 years. We know that government can create opportunity or crush opportunity based on a combination of regulations, mandates, and taxes, and we are now in the land of opportunity with eliminating the regulations and pulling back on the taxes to helping our economy grow. The President has signed legislation that we passed in this Congress repealing one after another of the Obama administration's rules, regulations, and restrictions. President Trump has issued executive orders cutting back on excessive red tape. President Trump has appointed very good people to important jobs who are committing to reining in Washington's out-of-control bureaucracy. All of these things are important and critical at keeping our economy growing. Another big part of this is what we're trying to do now in terms of cutting taxes for the American people that they have been paying. People want to keep more of their own money it's hard-earned money. They want to keep it in their own pockets. Here in the Senate, we now have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to cut taxes in a way that will actually help American families. We can help families directly by raising their incomes, and we can help them indirectly by growing the economy. And here's how we can do both, because that needs to be our goal. The first thing we can do is to give people a raise by doing things like doubling the standard deduction. If we raise the deduction, people keep more of their hard-earned money, and it makes taxes simpler. Right now, the standard deduction for a married couple is $12,000. Well, 2/3 of Americans take that deduction. If we roughly double it, people won't pay any federal income tax at all on that first $24,000 that they earn. Now, that's a big cut. It means that a lot more people will decide to take this deduction instead of going through the painstaking process of itemizing their deductions on the tax return. It saves them a lot of time, saves them a lot of headaches, and it saves them the cost of the accountants and the lawyers who have to help people figure out very complicated taxes in this country. So millions of families will be better off just from this one tax cut alone. Second thing that the Republicans are looking to do is to reduce the tax rate for small businesses, the people who are creating jobs all across the country. If someone owns a small business in my home state of Wyoming, she probably ends up paying taxes on her personal tax return rather than on a separate business tax return. If we cut her tax bill, that's money that she can then use to give her workers a raise, to hire more people, to create more jobs in our community. She can put money back into the business to help to grow the economy as well. You know, when you leave more money in people's pockets, they get to decide how to use that money, what they decide to spend, what they decide to save, what they decide to invest. Because I'll tell you, people, I believe, are much better at watching their own money than the government ever is at giving people value for that money. So we want to make sure that tax reform includes a break for small businesses. Because they use the word around here, tax reform. To me, it's about tax reduction, tax relief, tax cuts. Republicans also want to bring down the rates that Washington charges other businesses. You know, if we can cut the rate that businesses pay from 35% down to 20%, that could be an enormous boost to the economy. The economists that look at this say it's like giving the average American family a $4,000 a year raise. It's how much the average household's income, they tell us, would go up. It's because workers actually bear most of the burden of taxes that businesses pay. Now, the Democrats don't seem to think that this money belongs to, they actually think the money belongs to Washington. It doesn't. It belongs to the people at home who earn it. Democrats often think that if you give Americans even a single dollar in tax cuts that you're taking away Washington's money. It's not Washington's money. The money belongs to the people at home. So we know the exact opposite of what the Democrats believe to be true. Republicans know that giving Americans a tax cut is the same as giving them a raise. Every dollar a family doesn't have to send to Washington in taxes is a dollar that they can use for something better. It's a dollar they can use for food, for shelter, for kids, for education, for things that matter to that family personally. It's another dollar a small business can use to pay its workers more or reinvest in the business to help grow the economy in that community. Tax cuts mean that people decide how to spend their own money. Washington doesn't decide. Families know how to use the money much better than Washington ever will. So as we debate these issues and ideas with regard to tax relief, we have an exciting opportunity to give the American people a raise and to give the American economy a boost. This is something a lot of people have been working on for a long time here in the Senate, Mr. President. Over the past 6 years, the Finance Committee, they have held 70 hearings on how to make our tax code better for all Americans. Republicans are working, and we're listening to make sure that we get the tax reform right that the American people and families need. Because when it comes to tax cuts, I believe the more the better. The more people who can get a tax cut, the better. The more our economy will then grow. That's better. It's our job. It's about paychecks. It's about jobs. It's about prosperity. It's about a strong and healthy economy for America. That's what we as Republicans are committed to. We cannot let this opportunity pass. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.